Welcome back to Breakfast with Bob. We're here at the Challenge Laguna Phuket Triathlon. What an amazing venue. Our next guest, Dr. Tamsin Lewis. Doctor. I don't get to interview many doctors.
Hi, and it's great to be here in this wonderful place, Challenge Laguna Phuket. Yep.
Well, give me a little background, Tamsin. Where are you from, and what were your sports growing up?
I live in London, UK. I'm actually born and brought up in Devon, which is in the south of England.
Okay.
I grew up doing swimming until the age of about 11. I did something called tetrathlon, which I think Chrissy did.
What is that?
So it's actually like run by the Pony Club. So you do horse jumping, like over a eventing, 3-day eventing type course, pistol shooting, target shooting, and then swimming and running cross country.
Wow. Almost like a pentathlon type of thing.
Yeah, it's the precursor to modern pentathlon.
Okay.
So, but unfortunately, at the age of like 12, 13, I got sick with mono actually.
Okay.
And I took some time out of the sport. Didn't do much, and then got into academia and went to medical school.
And what type of doctor are you?
So I'm a medical doctor, and then after 2 years in general medicine, I went into psychiatry, so mental health, because I found I liked talking to people and finding out the real root cause of their problems, and so it went along that route. But now I'm studying for a master's in sports medicine.
Right.
So I look after quite a few athletes.
You know, it's interesting. We've seen this with some companies, some of the insurance companies in the States, where they're actually prescribing exercise. You know, it's almost like let's eliminate getting you a prescription for drugs of some sort. You just need to go for a walk. You need to go for a run. You need to ride your bike. Are you seeing more of that? That people are understanding that sport will help your mental health?
Absolutely. I think it's becoming more and more common in order to do that, because exercise is the best medicine practically for every illness on this planet.
Yeah.
In moderation, I think people can be scared of sport, especially
Sure.
if they look at us and think, I would never be able to do that. I remember myself thinking, I can never do a triathlon. How do they keep going for so long?
Exactly.
But it's baby steps, just like you say, going out for a walk or just getting off the couch, doing something a bit different, getting out of your comfort zone slightly. And I think everything's become too easy, especially, in the States and in modern life. We drive to the shops, and
Right.
We drive to the gym to get on the treadmill and
take the escalator up to the gym.
And it's hopefully it's all changing. There's being a shift in thinking that we need to just generally be more active like our ancestors were.
So you go from academia and you're a doctor. What led to becoming a professional triathlete? Those don't necessarily go together.
No, it's an interesting. It might be an interesting story.
Yeah.
My ex-boyfriend did triathlon, and I used to look at him and think, "Oh, wow, that's pretty amazing." I always kind of could ride a bike because my dad's a professional cyclist, or was. He's 71 now and still rides a bike every day.
So he was a pro cyclist.
Yeah, my dad did the Tour de France twice, and
really,
he was British national road race champion for a number of years. And
wow.
You might know Tom Simpson, the guy that died on the
Yes.
mountain too.
My
dad was his teammate and gave him his last drink before he died. So
I had no idea.
yeah, so that's pretty. I grew up hearing those stories, and I was always really aware of the whole drugs issue in cycling, and it kind of depressed me, but it was part of the culture.
I mean, did your dad feel that way? I mean, he saw Simpson. He knew what those guys were doing.
Yeah.
And was he pretty convinced that the drugs were involved with Tour de France?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, everyone's back pockets used to shake, with pills, and
Right.
No one really understood how to manage the drugs in those days, so they just took very raw things like amphetamines and
Right.
steroids, and there were a lot of mental health problems that came of that because they were just, these drugs are pretty potent on
Right.
a number of systems.
Was your dad concerned about you getting into being a professional athlete, knowing what he knew?
Yeah, I thought he'd be a bit more supportive. Kind of always knew I could ride a bike.
Yeah.
I grew up, I was always talented
yeah.
in sports, and he encouraged me to be a doctor. But then when I started to do well in triathlon, he encourages it, but he thinks we train too hard. This is the irony. He thinks triathletes train too hard.
For a guy who is doing 2,000-mile races.
Exactly. It is funny though. If you hang out with pro cyclists, they definitely rest harder than triathletes.
They do. When
Yeah.
they're basically they don't walk anywhere.
No.
As soon as they're off their bike, they're laying down.
Yeah. This
Yeah,
is it.
and that's so it's either they're going 1,000 miles an hour or zero.
That's true.
Well, very similar to the Kenyan runners.
Yep.
When people it's funny, whenever we've had athletes, American athletes, go and train in Kenya with the runners,
Yeah.
what they come back with is resting for a Kenyan athlete is laying on a rock after workout and watching the clouds go by.
Yeah.
Where for, probably from England and from the U.S., resting is doing your other stuff, sending out your emails, Facebook,
Exactly.
and doing errands, which isn't really resting.
No, it's not going to bring your blood pressure down and,
No.
and all the other stress hormones and stuff.
So when did you feel that you could have success as a professional athlete?
So
What- yeah.
I was when I did my first triathlon, I won at my age group. So I kind of thought, oh, I'm not doing much training. Maybe I could do well here.
Yeah.
Because I grew up doing, the 3 sports, but then I didn't do them for a while. But I won my age group at the World Age Group Championships, Olympic distance, under the guidance of Michelle Dillon
Okay.
in 2009. And then a friend of mine put me in touch with Brett Sutton,
Yes.
who
Coach to the
basically-
stars, yeah.
yeah, I'm very fond of Brett, but he's a difficult person to get on with.
Well, and Brett's philosophy is if you have a dozen eggs and you throw them all against the wall, a couple of them won't break.
Yeah,
And so you either can handle the load
yeah.
or you can't.
To be honest, he does look at athletes differently and kind of give them different training.
Uh-huh.
But with me, I had absolutely no strength training or any background in the sport. So when I got on the track and was doing 20, 25, 800s and stuff, I broke because I got the same injury that Chrissy got, and a number
Right.
of his athletes get a high hamstring tendinopathy.
Yeah.
Because your glutes and your hamstrings aren't developed enough to
To
carry
handle
load.
that type of load, especially on a hard track.
Yeah, exactly.
That's one thing if you're doing it on soft surface, but
Yeah.
so that you're doing that type of workout not long after starting with him.
No, I mean, I'd been in triathlon for like 2 years. Yeah, 2.5 years, and then I went to doing that load, and he wanted me to do Ironman straight away, and I didn't want to. I'd
Right.
only just done Olympic distance. My first race as a pro was the first middle distance race I
Yeah.
did, and I came second. So, he kind of thought I would be the next Chrissy to start with, but then we suddenly realised that I kind of wasn't that, and then we didn't fall out because we're good friends now.
Sure.
But he always said to me, "You can't out-psych a psycho," being a psychiatrist, and
Yes.
and that we struggled with that because he's the doc, I'm the doc, and we kind of, we get on better not being in a coach-athlete relationship.
That's always good. And injury-wise, so you ended up getting injured pretty severely.
Yeah, and very run down like a number of his athletes do. We don't really hear about them, but it's very common to get very low on iron,
Yes.
B12, and other nutritional deficiencies. And a lot of his athletes can potentially get them unless they look after themselves. So you've got to be pretty switched on. And because he limits access to other specialists like physios, nutritionists, etc., you've got to be pretty switched on to self-manage well with him.
So basically, he's the only resource.
Yeah, that's the way he likes it, but increasingly people are moving outside that box.
Yeah, because the reality is one person can't know everything.
No.
How long did it take you before you were able to compete again?
I probably took a couple. Well, I continued to race, but just kind of struggled through. I went to Cliff English the year
Yes.
after,
Yeah.
who is a completely different coach. Very
Yes.
positive,
Yep.
and I thought Cliff was great, but I never got to spend any time with him. And coming from a background in Team TBB, we're losing things.
Things are blowing around. Yeah, yeah.
Coming from Team TBB where everything's very, micromanaged in an environment, I found that difficult. So eventually I moved to a local coach who'd worked with Darren Smith,
Yes.
Lisa Norden.
Yes.
And he's helped me massively, just working on strength, injury prevention, run technique, swim technique, everything's improved this year.
And how do you balance between being a doc, being a sporty doc,
Yeah.
and so that's basically people know you as sporty doc.
On Twitter, sort of, and then
Yeah.
Facebook. Sporty Doc is my alias. So, I only work part time, so I work a couple of days a week
Yeah.
at home. But we set up a new company called Curo 7,
Yeah.
and then you can see that through my Sporty Doc
Yeah.
website. So that is like managing athletes, looking at their blood tests, hoping to improve all the things that myself and other athletes all the time go through.
Right.
Even your weekend warriors, everyone gets very low on certain nutrients and minerals, and we aim to maximize that.
So a lot of pro athletes, I'm sure a lot of age groupers too, have a tendency that more is better.
Yeah.
And they might go in for blood tests and not really know what they're looking for. Especially a lot of the docs aren't really trained to work with endurance athletes, correct? So For an athlete who's getting into this, what are your recommendations? Are your recommendations to do a blood test early on and get a base level of where you're at different things, and then how often after that?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'd recommend, to get a baseline, because it's remarkable how quickly things change, especially with iron. And it's not just women that get low in iron. People obviously don't realize we lose iron with each foot strike we take during a run. You lose iron in your sweat. So we see guys and girls getting very low on iron, vitamin D. Their blood counts go off,
right.
And other B vitamins and hormonal markers too, especially for women, and men get low testosterone with endurance sport. So for us, just balancing the your life and your training, perhaps sacrificing your 5-hour ride for a good strength workout in the gym is going to boost up your testosterone,
right,
and help endurance performance. But it's just being able to say, I haven't done 20 hours this week, I've done 15, but it's quality.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. Stop competing with your peers that are doing 30 hours, because on race day, they're the ones that will be struggling.
Well, the thing is, you don't win a race by sending in your resume, right? You win a race by how you perform on race day.
Absolutely.
So this year has been your best year.
Yeah, this year everything's kind of turned around. I dealt with a few, injury issues and nutritional problems, and I got actually last year here I got a parasite in my gut, which took a while to get out. So this year, I'm doing a lot less training in terms of hours, because I'm working more, but it's much more quality, and I just feel a lot healthier, and it's coming through in my results. So. Well,
yeah, you're talking about third at 70.3 Mallorca, second at 70.3 France. Those are really, really good performances.
Yeah, and I always race quality fields. So in Alpe d'Huez, I had a very good race this year, racing just second behind Emma Jackson, who's one of the Aussie Olympian girls. So I've had again in the European Champs. So I was on top 5. So.
What do you feel that 70.3, that half distance like we have here this weekend? Is that your distance? Is that what you prefer? Do you like the Ironman, the full Ironman, or iron distance?
Well, I haven't actually done it yet, much to Brett's dismay. But he always said I'd be the much better at Ironman, because I do tend to just keep going, but mentally, it's getting through that Ironman, the marathon. My ex-boyfriend does Ironman regularly, and I saw him in the medical tent so many times. I've worked in the medical tent in Kona.
Oh, did you work in the medical
twice,
tent?
And
that's an eye-opener, huh?
So I just got to dissociate from that and say, that's not me. I can do this and step away from that. Rachel Joyce said to me, Tam, the key thing about the marathon is not to think about the marathon, just keep running.
I remember I had McKeely Jones came over to watch Ironman, and stood outside the medical tent the year Mark Allen won the race, and was basically carried into the medical tent on a stretcher, his feet all bloody and body cramping, and she's like, there's no way I'm doing this. This is a guy who won, right?
Wow.
And she's going, there's no way I'm doing this thing. And then a few years later, she ends up winning it. Yeah. But it's one of those things you sort of have to be ready for it from a mental perspective, because it is a long day.
It is, and it's not particularly a healthy thing to do, I think, long term for anyone. And I think, we take up triathlon to get fit and to get healthy, and that's fine. But Ironman for your body over a number of years is not a healthy thing to do. Yeah.
So what is this weekend? I'm assuming this is like your last race of the year?
Yeah, absolutely.
A little vacation and a little race at the same time?
Yeah, I've been here. This is my 3rd year here, and I love it. I have a holiday at the end, and hang out with people, and the organisers always look after you, so I love it.
And what type of goal do you have for this race?
Well, I was on the podium last weekend despite having food poisoning and feeling pretty rough the whole day, and actually losing my breakfast on Belinda Granger. So I just jogged around the run, so I'd like to be up on that podium again, and perhaps give Radka a fight for her money. It's difficult when people like Mel Hauschild turns up, who's unbeaten practically all year.
She's pretty special, huh?
Yeah, she's an amazing girl to race, and I have a lot of respect for her. The way her swims improved so much as well. She hung on to my feet on the last weekend, so I was like, oh damn, can't even get a listen, can't even get ahead of her. But yeah, it's nice. I kind of hung with her close to her on the bike, so we'll see what we can do.
How important is that balance, the fact that you are a doctor and a practicing doctor, and then, the triathlon, so you don't have to, quote-unquote, depend on the dollars from the sport of triathlon?
Yeah, it's been tough this year. I think it's tough for all of the athletes, and this is something that I get very frustrated about with companies like Ironman, because they don't pay for 4 months, and you can't survive on your prize money. They tax you and then don't give you evidence that they've taken the tax off. So I find it very, it is important for me to have something else.
Yes.
Because otherwise you're constantly asking people for money, for this, for that, and sponsors want to be shown value. You know, they want
Sure.
to say, you know, what can you do for me? And my sponsors, I have that relationship with because I love to give back to the sport and to
Right.
the people. But for me, when I didn't have anything else when I was with Team TBB, I actually got quite depressed.
I bet. Well, actually, Chrissy and I talked about that a bunch because
Right.
you're a very bright gal like yourself, and I think it's hard. And actually, Brett helped her because she said, this is so all-consuming, and so I feel so selfish just training all day long. And he says, you know what, you're gonna this will be a great platform for you to help other people,
Yeah.
right?
And-
And that's what she did. And obviously, you're doing the same thing with the fact that you're able to, from what you went through, you're able to help other folks.
Yeah, and I'm very keen to do that because I see lots of mistakes all the time. And
Yeah.
train, and it's not what it's about.
So what are you up to with Macca and Macca X?
So I've spoken to Chris. I've known him obviously over the scene,
Yeah.
and I spoke to him in Kona this year, and he's like, Tam, we'd love to have you on board. You know, I think you offer quite a lot,
Yeah.
back to athletes. So I'm signed up as their team doc for Macca X.
Nice.
But potentially we're looking at maybe me working at Tanya Pura and helping Macca out with the whole thing there. So
Oh, that would be a bummer, huh? To have to
Yeah.
be over here for more time. Darn.
Yeah.
I could be back in England, or I could be over here where it's beautiful every day.
I know, and the setup at Tanya Pura is incredible. So yeah, we'll see.
Well, Tamsin, it's so nice to meet you.
And you, I listen to you all the time, Bob. So nice
That's
to
so
meet you in
nice of
person.
you. So, what are some of your favorite radio interviews?
Well, I really like the Le Monde one.
Oh,
that
from
you did.
2006. Yeah.
Your Chrissy one was good. Angela Neath, I
Yes.
have a lot of time for Angela, so I liked your
Well,
interview
thank you
with
so
her.
much for listening. That is awesome.
No worries.
All right, Tamsin's been our guest. She'll be racing at the Challenge Laguna Phuket Triathlon this weekend. We are on triathlete.com, so check us out. Hold on, everyone. We'll be right back.